I'm going to be ranking the best auctionable cards right now in NBA 2K23. My team, we have a tier list here ranking from S that goes all the way down to D tier, and we have about 30 to 35 of the best auctionable cards in the game. If you guys are wondering what I do mean by auctionable cards, every single card on this tier list will be directly purchasable from the auction house, so no lock-in cards like Kareem or Tim Thomas, no free cards like Kevin Garnett, there's no, free cards you can grind from the 2-week events, and no Westbrook, Yee, no Danny Ferries, Purvis, Mike Bantam, all those cards will not be on this tier list. Just every single card will be purchasable from the auction house. So sir's first auctionable card here is going to be Anthony Davis. I would say he probably goes nicely in that B tier category. I really don't think he's that great of a power forward. His jump shot is only on quick timing, but he is still going to be a very good defender. 94 block, 97 interior defense, also does have an 89 steal and a 92 perimeter. So if you look at this card at face value, stats and badges wise, he looks to be a top power forward in the game, but his jump shot's only on quick timing, and it's kind of baited of a release. Other than that though, the card is pretty much a perfect power forward, maybe just a little bit undersized. So a bit undersized and a kind of slow jump shot isn't really the best pairing for the power forward position at this time of the year. So I think Anthony Davis probably going to be in my B tier category. Paolo Banchero, I would say is C, maybe even in that D tier category. I wanted to include some of the newer cards that just came out recently in the Phenom set. So Paolo Banchero is a good small 40, 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, but overall a pretty mid card, I would say. But I would say C tier is probably a pretty fair spot for Paulo. Scotty Barnes easily going to be in the A tier category. I think he's one of the better point guards in the game. He's going to be an exceptionally good defender, has a decent jump shot and very good dribble sigs with the Steve Francis size up. Does he also have the Scotty escape? Or not Scotty escape, sorry, the Trey escape. I think he's got the Wall escape though, right? Let me see. Yeah, so he's got the Steve Francis size up, and then he does have the John Wall escape. So the movement on this card is going to be amazing for a 6'8" point guard who's going to play lockdown defense. Next auctionable card here is going to be the new Pink Diamond Jonathan Bender. And am I crazy to say he's a top 5 auctionable card in the game? I think I'll keep him in A tier for now. If you guys don't know, S tier is going to be my top 5 auctionable cards. Is he a top 5 auctionable? I think he's up there. I think you can legit make an argument this is a top 5 auctionable card. I will keep him in the A tier category just for now. But let me tell you guys, this Jonathan Bender is an absolute beast at the small forward position, and he can play power forward as well, being 7 foot with a 7'4" wingspan. You take a look at his stats, very well rounded, 92 block, 90 interior defense, 84 steal, 88 perimeter, good at going to the basket with a 95 driving dunk, 97 vertical. But the crazy thing about this card is this jump shot, for whatever reason, the Montrezl Harrell base and the Trae Young upper is such a good jump shot, super fast and very easy to green. And then he's also got like the Curry slide. He's a 7-foot kind of guard, that's how he plays in the game, like a guard slash wing who's Curry sliding with the Dame behind the back, the Trey escape. He's got front clutches, the normal leaner, MJ dribble style. I mean, this card is just one of the more OP and broken cards in the game, and I would say is at least in the A tier category. This may surprise some people. I'm gonna go Ben Simmons in B tier for now. He might honestly get moved up to A tier later in the video. Just for now though, I want to keep Ben Simmons in B tier. I do think there's a couple better auctionable point guards that we'll talk about here in a second, but Taco Fall, easily in my opinion, going to be a top 5 auctionable card. I do think he's the best auctionable power forward in the game if we're not counting that Dark Matter Cream, because Cream you can't actually buy on the auction house directly. You have to lock in a bunch of different cards, and I don't really include those in these auctionable type videos. So for me, I think Taco Fall is the best power forward in the game if we're talking about directly purchasable from the auction house. I do think Taco's got to be in that S tier category. Bill Russell is super close, just like Jonathan Bender, to being in the S tier category. I think these are easily the 2 best small forwards in the game. Yes, Perry, yes, Purvis and Danny Ferry are really good as well, but I think these 2 small forwards just kind of have that slight edge, and I would say Bender is probably the new best small forward in the game. Chris Bosh, I would kind of rank him alongside Anthony Davis. I think they're very similar power forwards in the sense that their jump shots are a tad bit slow. Anthony Davis is a little bit better defensively, where I feel like Chris Bosh is a little bit better offensively, but all around skill level wise, I would say they're probably both going to be in the B tier category. Dark Matter LeBron, I would say is also B tier. His jump shot just really isn't that amazing. If he had a better release, he would easily be an A tier on the same level as a Bill Russell and a Jonathan Bender, but I think for now he's probably going to be in my B tier category alongside Vince Carter. I do think Vince is a super underrated shooting guard in the game. I think he's on the same level as a Clyde Drexler, who I feel like has also got to go in that C tier, or also got to go in that B tier category. I'm not really sure what to do with C, because I kind of almost want to move Paulo down to D tier and then drop some of these cards down to C. So I'll kind of have to see how this tier list does pan out. But I feel like some of these cards could be a little bit lower, you know, than the others. Like I think Anthony Davis, you know what? I might do that. I think I'm going to drop Anthony Davis and maybe Vince Carter down into C. I like Vince Carter a lot. Is he on the same level as a Chris Bosh, a LeBron? I'm not sure. I think Chris Bosh is a little bit better than Anthony Davis. I don't want to have those two cards in the same tier. So I would say this is probably fair for now. I just want to balance out the tier list a little bit more. So I do think Paulo's probably going to be in D tier, because then I want to go a guy like Dino in the C tier category. He's a really good pink diamond card. He's a little bit not undersized for the center position, but he does have an 8-foot wingspan, which is really cool. But I feel like his defense could definitely be a little bit better. So Dino going to be in C tier for now. Lonzo Ball, I think, is one of the more underrated point guards in the game. I know he's not like crazy souped as we all thought he would, or all hoped he would. Like I thought he would be a lot better than he actually is, but I still feel like he's a really good point guard. I mean, you can't tell me that Scottie Barnes is that much better, because jump shot wise, they're about the same. I mean, you can maybe say Scottie Barnes' release is a little bit better, but they're pretty much going to give you the exact same thing on the court. So I feel like they got to be on the same tier. I don't think Lonzo's the best point guard in the game, but I think he's most likely top 5. Dark Matter D-Rob, I think he's so close to being in the S tier category. He realistically might be an S tier, but I think for now, I do want to keep him in the A tier category. Eddie Curry, he's going in D tier. I did want to include him just because there's not many great budget centers, you know, that are auctionable. There's not too many great budget centers in general. So I wanted to have a guy on here that was a good budget center that is auctionable, and there's really not too many. So I wanted to include Eddie Curry just because of that reason. But yeah, overall, I mean, Eddie Curry's got to be in D tier. Rudy Gay, I think, is probably another C tier card. I would say he's better than Paulo and Eddie Curry by a little bit, and I think he's, you know, maybe a tiny bit worse than like a Dino. I think Vince Carter maybe could get moved up into, yeah, I think Vince Carter going in B. I think Vince is a super underrated shooting guard, still has a very capable jump shot, good at going to the basket, and some very decent sigs as well. Dark Matter Giannis, same tier as LeBron. I think since they came out, they've always been in that same tier. You know, I think for this auctionable tier list, I think they got to go in B. Jabari Parker, another really good small forward. I think he's on the same level as Rudy Gay. If we're talking about small forwards, I think they're just that one step down from a LeBron James and a Giannis. Very good for their price tag. Like, I think Jabari Parker is super underrated as a pink diamond, but I think he's probably got to go in C tier. Jonathan Isaac has a legit argument to be an A. I think I'm gonna go B tier for now. There's so many good small forwards in the game right now, but I do think he might get moved up into that B tier or into the A tier category, because he's legit still one of the best defenders in the game. Jimmy Butler, it's hard to say, is he a top 5 auctionable card? I do think he's most likely the best point guard in the game. Does that make him automatically a top 5 auctionable card? It might. I do think there's a couple better big men that we'll talk about here in a second. So I want to keep Jimmy Butler in A tier just for now, but he might get moved up into S tier later in the video. I do think he's such a good defensive point guard. 94 interior defense, 92 block, 98 steal, 98 perimeter, tons of Hall of Fame badges, obviously, for being a dark matter. Jump shot is pretty solid. I mean, it's not the best release in the world, but it's not bad. And then he also does have the tray escape, the name behind the back, and the MJ dribble style. So for me personally, I think Jimmy Butler got to be at least in that A tier category. Jokic, another C tier card. I think he's kind of on that same level as a Dino. Is he as good as Chris Bosh? You know, Giannis at the 4? I don't think so. I do think he's kind of that one step below those guys. Kobe Bryant, I think you could argue A, but I'm gonna go B tier for now. I think Kobe, you know what, I'm gonna go Kobe A tier, because I do think he's better than Clyde Drexler. I do think he's better than Vince. I don't think it's by a crazy amount, but I would say Kobe is probably gonna be somewhere in my low A tier category. I think you gotta have the Mamba at least in A tier. He's still a super underrated card. He might be overpriced like crazy because his name's Kobe, but I still think you gotta have him in the A tier category. Kristaps, I think that's the debate. I think it's honestly going to come down to these 3, 4, 5 guys. You know, Jimmy Butler, Kristaps, D-Rob, Jonathan Bender, Bill Russell. I think all of these guys are going to have a legit argument to be in that S tier category. Luke Walton, I think he's solid, man. I think he's on the same tier as Ben Simmons. Wherever you want to put Ben Simmons, I think you also got to put Luke Walton. I think for his price tag and just overall how good of a card he is, I think you got to throw him in B tier. Magic Johnson, same thing. I think they're that one step below a Scottie Barnes, that one step below Alonzo Ball, but I feel like they're all on the same tier. You know, Magic Johnson, Ben Simmons, and Luke Walton. LaMelo Ball, I do think he's kind of that one step above. I do like him over at Magic, over Ben Simmons, and over Luke Walton. I think, you know, the two ball brothers, Lonzo and LaMelo, really comes down to what you need at your point guard position. If you're looking for a little bit more offense, you go with LaMelo, and if you want a little bit more defense, you obviously go for that LaMelo, or you go for that Lonzo Ball card. Yao Ming, I mean, he's just got to be S. Yao Ming is an S tier, top 5 auctionable card in the game. I don't think anybody would really disagree with these 2 auctionable cards being in the S tier category. Evan Mobley was very underwhelming, I will say. I still think he's probably better than Eddie Curry, Apollo Banchero, and I think he's not that much worse than like a Jokic at the 4, you know, and he's a really good center defensively, and really the only good like galaxiable center we have in the game, so besides Yao Ming. So I do think he's probably got to be at least in C tier. Shaquille O'Neal, this is probably the hardest card to rank because I haven't exactly used this card yet. I've seen, well, obviously I haven't used him. I mean, he just came out yesterday. I don't know how I feel about this card because 63 ball, I just don't know. 63 ball, I mean, not a great jump shot. He's still going to do everything else at such a high level. I know he's such a good defender. He's really good at going to the rim. But the fact that you can sag off this card and he's going to be a little bit of a liability in offense. If you're playing someone that knows what they're doing on defense, they're just going to leave you wide open. It's going to be a lot harder to score. I think you still got to give Shaq B. I still think you got to give him B tier. I don't think he's worse than Anthony Davis. I'm going to still throw Shaq in the B tier category. Pink Diamond D-Rob's got to be C. Just once again, just like Eddie Curry, wanted to include him on this list because there's no good budget centers in the game. Scottie Pippen, I would say Pippen is probably B because I think he's on the same level as a Vince Carter. Probably low B tier, but I think they do got to be B. Sengun is A tier. I think he's on that same level as a Scotty Barnes, a LaMelo, and Lonzo. I think these are kind of the top 4 or 5 point guards in the game with a Jimmy Butler as well. And then the final card is going to be Tracy McGrady, who is easily going to be in the S tier category. So I'm happy with that top 3 right now, but now we have to move 2 of these auctionable cards into the S tier category. And I think the easy answer would probably be just D-Rob and Kristaps. I think that would be the easy answer, but I kind of want to mix it up. I want to go Kristaps and S, and I want to go Jonathan Bender, and I want to go Jonathan Bender in S tier as well, because I do think he's the best small forward in the game, where if you look at a guy like D-Rob, I think D-Rob is probably the 3rd best power forward, and then probably like the 3rd best center. So I feel like Jonathan Bender for his position is a lot better than a card like D-Rob, but let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about my auctionable card tier list, and especially let me know what cards would you guys have in the S tier category, knowing that S tier is my top 5 auctionable cards in the game. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.